E3 2016 was a week filled with amazing games like Zelda, God of War, and Sea of Thieves. But alongside this wealth of promising experiences were some noticeable absences. Here are 11 of the biggest games that were missing from E3. After getting a fresh look at Kingdom Hearts 3 at last year's show, its absence in 2016 was noticeable, if not entirely unexpected. The next few months is all about Final Fantasy 15 for Square, and they don't want to complicate the message by bringing up their big games of 2017 and beyond. Still, fingers crossed we see Sora & Company later this year at TGS or PSX. Oh, Beyond Good and Evil 2, we can always count on you to make our missing games of E3 list. Once again, Ubisoft's mythical sequel was MIA during the show, with the publisher not even whispering a peep about it. We want this game to still exist and for it to suddenly be re-revealed a la Final Fantasy 15, but at this point, we aren't holding our breath. Crackdown 3 was announced 2 years ago and last seen at Gamescom, where its incredible city-leveling tech and cloud-based computing made for a hell of a concept. Since then, we haven't seen a thing, and that didn't change during Microsoft's conference at E3. After the show, Regent Games announced that Crackdown 3 slipped to 2017, but we didn't get a look at any new footage. We'll have to wait until Microsoft's next big show to find out more. Michel Ancel's Wild is a game we only see once a year, but holy hell does it make a lasting impression. Its awesome Paris Games Week demo from last fall made it one of our most anticipated games, which made its absence from E3 all the more painful. Final Fantasy VII Remake made its flashy and long-awaited debut at last year's E3, but this year we didn't see so much as a strand of Cloud's beautiful hair. Square Enix confirmed late last year that 7 will be split into multiple parts once it is finally released, but this year's big show brought us no closer to finding out exactly when we'll return to Midgar. The gorgeous Rime was shown off as a PlayStation exclusive way back at Gamescom 2013, but that was the last we saw of its colorful, intriguing world. Sony recently dropped out, and we last heard that GameStop will be working with developer Tequila Works on future titles. Could Rime land with a retailer turned publisher? Only Rime will tell. Hello Games' So Big It Shouldn't Be Possible space sim made quite a splash ahead of E3 with a delay to August, but was a total no-show once the industry landed in Los Angeles last week. We've seen hours of spaceflight and galactic exploration, but it still feels like we've barely scratched the surface. Will we get one last look before we finally get the game this summer? When it was announced at last year's show, the latest Metroid didn't exactly get welcomed with open arms. Fans were upset that it focuses more on FPS mechanics than typical Metroid exploration, and that it doesn't star Samus. Plus, its multiplayer component, Blast Ball, was heavily criticized. And at least it can't be as bad as Other M. It's no secret that Dead Island 2 has had some trouble. It's been 2 years since the game debuted with an awesome trailer, but since then, developer Jaeger was removed from the project in favor of Little Big Planet 3 developers Sumo Digital. We last heard that Dead Island 2 was delayed to this year, but with not a word at E3, even that's looking unlikely at this point. Shenmue 3 was one of the big surprises at Sony's conference last year, and went on to be one of the most successful video game Kickstarters of all time. Since then, though, we haven't heard much about Ryo's next adventure. Come on, Mr. Suzuki, let us know when we can go fishing again. Sony had a big, action-packed conference this year, so it's not entirely surprising that a slower-paced game like Dreams would sit this one out. Still, Media Molecule's intriguing creation simulator hasn't been shown off since last year's Paris Games Week, and this year's huge PSVR showcase would have been a great time to spill the beans on whether or not it will support the headset. That was 11 of the biggest games we were bummed to see missing from E3 2016. What were some of yours? For everything else E3, missing or not, you're already in the right place. IGN.